Who does the beast symbolize? As will be more clear in a few moments, understanding exactly who the beast represents will give us some initial insight into the identity of the seven heads. The first mention of the beast with seven heads in Revelation is in chapter 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. Verse 9 gives us more details and tells us specifically what entity is being discussed. And the great red dragon was thrown down, the serpent of old, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. As we see, the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns is referred to as a great red dragon, and this dragon is then identified as Satan himself. We're also told that he is thrown down to the earth along with his angels. Based on Revelation chapter 12, verses 3 and 9, our first question is answered. The beast is symbolism for Satan. Furthermore, this beast was thrown down to the earth, so our interpreting the 7 heads and 10 horns must be done in that context. What do the 7 heads symbolize? Our first clue about what the 7 heads symbolize was also given to us in Revelation 12:3, which described crowns being upon the heads of the beast. This would imply that whatever the heads symbolize, it must involve rulership or authority. And we get confirmation of this in Revelation chapter 17, where in verses 9 and 10 we read, And here is mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. The key to these 2 verses is the word mountain, because the Bible often uses the word mountain to symbolize kingdom, as we see in these verses. The mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills. The stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. I am against thee, O destroying mountain. Thus, letting the Bible interpret the Bible, the word mountain in verse 9 of Revelation 17 should be understood as referring to kingdoms. Therefore, the 7 heads represent 7 kingdoms. To further solidify that this is the correct interpretation, verse 10 tells us that there are also 7 kings, which clearly go hand in hand with the 7 kingdoms. And remember that we just talked about how Revelation 12:9 told us that the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns was thrown down to the earth. Using that as a guide, we can now see that these will be 7 satanic kingdoms on earth, with 7 earthly kings heading them up. Thus, the 7 heads of the beast are symbolic of both 7 kingdoms and 7 kings. To sum up the symbolism being used, 1. The beast symbolizes Satan himself being thrown down to the earth. 2. The 7 heads symbolize 7 satanic kingdoms and kings here on earth. Are there specific characteristics to these 7 kingdoms? To hone in on what these 7 kingdoms would be, we need to ask if the Bible tells us anything specific about the characteristics or attributes that they may possess. The key is to understand that these 7 heads are growing out of the beast. Thus, these 7 kingdoms and kings will share the traits and attributes of the beast. So a better question might be, what does the Bible tell us about the attributes or traits of the beast? As it turns out, the Bible does indeed describe 3 specific character traits of the beast. In the first 2 verses of Revelation 12, we read the following, And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. The woman symbolized in these verses is Israel, and the child she is about to deliver is Jesus, as is made clear in verse 5. Verse 13 tells us that one of the character traits of the beast is to persecute the woman, which again is symbolic of God's nation Israel. And when the dragon saw that he was cast out unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Verse 17 tells us a second aspect or trait of the beast with 7 heads. It makes war with the remnant of Israel's seed, and with those who have the testimony of Jesus. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. The third trait of the beast is that he blasphemes God, and on his head were blasphemous names, a scarlet beast full of blasphemous names, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So we can see that the beast has 3 main attributes. He persecutes Israel, he looks to make war with those who are the remnant of her seed and who have the testimony of Jesus, and he blasphemes God. Thus the 7 kingdoms and kings will also share these 3 traits. So the first major clue as to the identity of the 7 kingdoms is that they will do 3 things. 1, they will persecute Israel. 2, they will be at war with the remnant of Israel's seed and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. 3, they will blaspheme God. Whatever the identities of the 7 kingdoms are, they will all share these 3 characteristics. When did these 7 kingdoms exist? A second way to hone in on the identity of these 7 kingdoms is to try and ascertain when they existed. In Revelation chapter 17, verses 10 and 11, the Bible does give us the time frame for when these 7 kingdoms and their associated 7 kings existed or will exist, and this is another major clue as to their identity. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. So at the time John is given this prophecy, 5 of these kingdoms no longer existed, and the 6th existed as of the time of John's writing. After John's time, a 7th kingdom and king will arise, but only for a short time. The 8th kingdom, king, is of the 7. To sum up the major clues about the identity of the 7 kingdoms: 1, they will share specific characteristics such as blaspheming God, persecuting Israel, and making war with the remnant of Israel's seed and those who have the testimony of Jesus. 2, they existed at specific times in history. The first 5 before John received his visions and revelation, the 6th existing concurrently with John, and the 7th and 8th kingdoms to come after John's time. The 7 heads of the beast represent 7 kingdoms and 7 kings. Since the kingdoms and kings are connected to each other, a reference to one of the kings is referring to that kingdom which he's associated with. In Revelation 17, verses 10 and 11, we read this: "And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition." The essential key to understanding the identities of these 7 kingdoms are 3 words in the middle of verse 10. Those 3 words are, "and 1 is," which refers to the 6th kingdom. The reason that those 3 words are so important is because the present tense is being used. That matters because it means that there is only one possible interpretation that is always true, no matter when the verse is being read. For the 6th kingdom to be described as existing in the present tense, it must be describing the kingdom in power at the time John received his vision. The prophecy must be from the perspective of John. If the 6th kingdom was to be in the future, the verse would not have referred to it in the present tense, but instead described it as not yet come, or similar wording as used for the 7th and 8th kingdoms. Thus, those 3 words rule out other interpretations that try and fit the 6th kingdom into a time frame other than being contemporaneous with John, because those 3 words must be accurate no matter what year we are reading this prophecy. For example, there is a popular interpretation that the 7 kings represent 7 American presidents. However, the present tense of the words "and 1 is" disproves this idea, as the words would only be accurate for those few short years that the 6th president is in power. Reading verse 10 before or after the 6th president's term would make the present tense description inaccurate and the prophecy erroneous. And the same goes for other interpretations for the 6th kingdom that try and place it as existing sometime other than when John received his vision. The only possible interpretation of the 6th kingdom that is that it's a direct reference to the kingdom that existed at the time John received his vision. And the good news is that once we identify this 6th kingdom, the identity of 5 more kingdoms will quickly come into focus. The kingdom that existed at the time that John received his vision is quite easy to identify. All we have to do is simply check the historical record to find out which empire was ruling at the time of John's vision. Most Bible scholars consider Revelation as being written late in the 1st century, around 96 AD, and world history shows that the kingdom that was ruling at that time was the Roman Empire. Now that we know the identity of the 6th kingdom, the Roman Empire, we can actually work our way backwards to find the identities of the 5 kingdoms preceding it, which were described as having fallen in this prophecy. Just as Revelation 17 helped us to understand that Rome is the 6th kingdom, the 2nd verse of Revelation 13 is essential in our zeroing in on the identity of 3 more. That verse reads, "And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his throne, and great authority." This verse is very important because the exact imagery of a leopard, a bear, and a lion were used in an older prophecy in Daniel 7, and that beast was also described as rising up from the sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard. In the next verse, Daniel then describes a 4th dreadful and terrible beast. Behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. We can see that the 4 beasts that Daniel described in his vision mirror the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns described by John in Revelation 13. And in Daniel's case, we can know the identity of these 4 beasts because Daniel had another similar vision of 4 kingdoms when he interpreted the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar. As we read about in Daniel 2, King Nebuchadnezzar dreamt of a giant statue with a head of gold, chest and arms made of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet made up of both iron and clay. Daniel's interpretation of the dream, given to him by God, was that the statue represented successive kingdoms, each one slightly inferior to the one before. According to Daniel, the head of gold represented Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar's own kingdom. Looking at history, we see that Babylon fell to the Medes and the Persians. Following, we saw the rise of the Grecian Macedonia Empire. Finally, Daniel's description of the 4th empire can only refer to Rome, the 6th head of the beast in Revelation. So by matching up Daniel's interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream, alongside Daniel's dream of the 4 beasts, and Revelation 17's description of one kingdom existing at the time of John's vision, we can now pinpoint the identity of 4 of the kingdoms. Those 4 kingdoms equate to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th heads on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And each of those 4 kingdoms is symbolized by a specific king, forming the kingdom-king combination that we read about in Revelation. Here is the breakdown for those 4 kingdoms. Babylon is the head of gold in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is the lion, the first beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the 3rd head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Babylon and King Nebuchadnezzar are the kingdom-king combination. Persia is the chest and arms of silver in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is the bear, the 2nd beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the 4th head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Persia and King Cyrus are the kingdom-king combination. Greece Macedonia is the belly and thighs of brass in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is the leopard, the 3rd beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the 5th head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Greece Macedonia and Alexander the Great are the kingdom-king combination. Rome is the legs of iron in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is called dreadful and terrible, and is the 4th beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the 6th head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Rome and Julius Caesar are the kingdom-king combination. King Nebuchadnezzar's dream started with his own kingdom, Babylon, being the head of gold, which corresponds to the third head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. The first 2 heads will obviously be 2 kingdoms that preceded Babylon, but what could they be? If we remember, the Bible gave us the characteristics or traits that these 7 kingdoms will possess: blaspheming God, persecuting Israel, and making war with the remnant of Israel's seed and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So we simply need to use those traits or characteristics as a guideline as we zero in on 2 kingdoms that preceded Babylon. And as a matter of fact, the Bible does describe 2 such kingdoms. Those 2 kingdoms are Egypt and Assyria, and they are the first 2 heads on the beast with 7 heads. And since we're on the subject, let's take a moment here to quickly look at how each of the 6 kingdoms match the traits of the beast. Egypt, the first head of the beast, the Egyptian pharaohs forced Israel into hard labor as slaves for nearly 4 centuries. Assyria, the second head of the beast, invaded and plundered the northern kingdom of Israel, which were comprised of 10 of the 12 tribes. Babylon, the third head of the beast, destroyed the first temple, killed many thousands of Jews, and took thousands more into captivity. Persia, the fourth head of the beast. According to the book of Esther, Haman the Agagite attempted to exterminate the Jewish people. Greece Macedonia, the fifth head of the beast, a type of Antichrist, Antiochus Epiphanes, defiled the temple and sought to destroy the Jewish religion. Rome, the sixth head of the beast, attempted to murder Jesus at birth, crucify Jesus, sacked Jerusalem, and destroyed the temple in 70 AD, killing about 250,000 Jews, waged war on Jews in 135 AD, killing over 500,000 people. Here are the identities of the first 6 heads on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Since the first 2 heads preceded Babylon, they are not referenced in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts and his interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. The first head, Egypt. Egypt is the first head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Egypt and Pharaoh Ramses are the kingdom-king combination. The second head, Assyria. Assyria is the second head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. Assyria and King Sennacherib are the kingdom-king combination. The third head, Babylon. Babylon is the head of gold in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is the lion, the first beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the third head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Babylon and King Nebuchadnezzar are the kingdom-king combination. The fourth head, Persia. Persia is the chest and arms of silver in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is the bear, the second beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the fourth head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Medo-Persian and King Cyrus are the kingdom-king combination. The fifth head, Greece Macedonia. Greece Macedonia is the belly and thighs of brass in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is the leopard, the third beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the 5th head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Greece Macedonia and Alexander the Great are the kingdom-king combination. The 6th head, Rome. Rome is the legs of iron in King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It is called dreadful and terrible, the 4th beast in Daniel's dream of 4 beasts. It is the 6th head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in Revelation. Rome and Julius Caesar are the kingdom-king combination. At this point, we should note that Daniel's 4th beast, the one called dreadful and terrible, was the final beast in his dream. We identified it as Rome, the 6th head. But of course, there is one additional head or kingdom on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. That means that Daniel's final 4th beast not only applies to the Roman Empire, the 6th head of the beast, but that the 7th head or kingdom must also be connected in some way. There are 5 things we must look for in order to identify the 7th head of the beast. 1. It will be a kingdom that arises after Rome. 2. Like the other 6 kingdoms, it will also have the traits of the beast: blaspheming God, persecuting Israel, and making war with the remnant of Israel's seed and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. 3. It will have a connection to the Roman Empire the final dreadful and terrible beast of Daniel's dream. 4. It will continue but a short space, meaning that it will only have a very short duration. 5. There will be a reason that it exists only for a short time. Those 5 attributes will point us directly at one kingdom, the 7th kingdom, represented by the 7th head on the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. And the identity of that 7th kingdom is a topic I'll get into with the next video in this series. So let's move on to identifying the kingdom and king that are associated with the 7th head of the beast. And to do that, we can find an important clue in the book of Daniel. In Daniel chapter 2, we read about King Nebuchadnezzar's dream of a statue with a head of gold, breast and arms of silver, belly and thighs of brass, and feet a mixture of iron and clay. We know that the statue represents 4 kingdoms: Babylon as the head of gold, Medo-Persia as the breast and arms of silver, Greece Macedonia as the belly and thighs of brass, Rome as the legs of iron and feet of iron and clay. We also know that these 4 kingdoms correspond to Daniel's dream of 4 beasts in the 7th chapter, where the 4th beast is referred to as dreadful and terrible. Just like King Nebuchadnezzar's statue, Rome is the 4th and final kingdom in Daniel's dream. So in both prophecies, Rome is the 4th and final kingdom, and yet we already identified Rome as the 6th head of the beast. How can Rome also be referred to as the final kingdom? And what happened to the 7th head of the beast? Only one explanation makes sense. There is a subtle duality to certain aspects of the statue of King Nebuchadnezzar, and this duality is a clue to help us understand how Rome can not only be the 6th head of the beast, but also be connected to the 7th head. Here is what I mean. The 2 arms of silver on the statue symbolize the duality of the Mede and Persian Empire. The 2 thighs of brass on the statue, in turn, symbolize the duality of the Greek and Macedonian Empire. Likewise, the 2 legs of iron will also symbolize a duality to the Roman Empire, as 2 separate incarnations will arise. Both of those separate incarnations, the 2 legs of iron, lead into the final beast kingdom, represented by the feet that are a mixture of iron and clay. Rome at the time that John received his prophecy was the 6th head of the beast, but it was only the first incarnation of this 4th kingdom in Daniel. The 2nd incarnation will be the 7th head of the beast. All 3 of these things, the 2 incarnations of the Roman Empire, as symbolized by the 2 legs of iron, and the final beast kingdom, as symbolized by the feet of iron and clay, comprise the 4th kingdom, the final dreadful and terrible beast. They're all related. To summarize, the 4th kingdom, described in Daniel 2 and Daniel 7, covers both the 6th and 7th heads on the beast, as well as the final beast kingdom. There are 2 different incarnations of the Roman Empire, and both of them lead into the final Antichrist kingdom. Now we need to specifically identify the 7th head of the beast. To do that, we need to remember the characteristics of the beast that existed in the other 6 kingdoms, as well as a couple of unique traits to the 7th kingdom. Here are the 5 attributes we must look for in order to identify the 7th head of the beast. 1. It must arise after the 6th kingdom, which was the Roman Empire of John's time. 2. It will blaspheme God, persecute Israel, and make war with the remnant of Israel's seed and those who have the testimony of Jesus Christ. 3. It will be a part of the final, dreadful, and terrible beast, which means it will somehow be connected to both the Roman Empire and also the final beast kingdom. 4. It will continue but a short space, meaning that it will have a very short duration. 5. There will be a reason that it exists only for a short time. Looking at history, there is only one kingdom that fits all of these descriptions. This kingdom existed after the Roman Empire, it persecuted the Jewish people to an extreme level, and it was also connected to a separate and unique incarnation of the Roman Empire. Most importantly, it had a very short duration, just as the Bible stated the 7th kingdom would. That kingdom is Nazi Germany. It alone stands out as fulfilling all of the requirements that the Bible tells us to look for in this 7th kingdom. From the Holocaust, to existing for but a short time, to being part of the final dreadful and terrible 4th kingdom, Nazi Germany is clearly the seventh head on the beast. Now let's detail exactly how both the Roman Empire and Nazi Germany equate to being the two legs of iron on King Nebuchadnezzar's statue. The Roman Empire at the time John received his prophecy is the sixth head of the beast, ruling from 27 BC to 476 AD. It was based in Rome and later Constantinople and controlled nations around the Mediterranean rim, including Israel. The Roman Empire grew to be quite large, covering most of Europe, North Africa, and parts of Asia. As such, it became extremely difficult to govern properly since the outer provinces could basically do whatever they wanted. In 293 AD, Emperor Diocletian devised a plan to break up the empire into two pieces and have more control over the outer provinces. One piece would be the Western Empire, which included Rome. The other would be the Eastern Empire, which included Constantinople. The emperor of the western half, which included the city of Rome, would be the one in charge. Historians deem the Western Roman Empire to have ended in 476 with the sacking of Rome, and Europe entered the Dark Ages. The Holy Roman Empire was created on Christmas Day in 800 AD when Charlemagne, also known as Charles the Great, was crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Charlemagne was the first recognized emperor in Western Europe since the fall of the Western Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire was a conscious attempt to resurrect the Western Roman Empire, which had been leaderless since 476. Charlemagne's successor emperors, however, faltered under political and military challenges, and his inheritance was permanently divided in 887. After 924, the Western Empire was again without an emperor until the coronation of Otto I in 962. This coronation was seen as a transfer of the Roman imperial office to the heirs of the East Franks, the Germans. The position of emperor remained among the Germans until the Holy Roman Empire was abolished in the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars in 1806. Nazi Germany is the seventh head on the beast, ruling only a short time from 1933 to 1945. It was officially known as the German Reich from 1933 until 1943, and the Greater German Reich from 1943 to 1945. Often used was the term Third Reich, meaning Third Realm or Third Empire, which alluded to the Nazi claim that Nazi Germany was the successor to the earlier Holy Roman Empire and the German Empire. The First Reich was the Holy Roman Empire from 800 to 1806. The Second Reich was the period from the unification of Germany in 1871 until the November Revolution in 1918, when the German Reich changed its form of government from a monarchy to a republic. The Third Reich, which Hitler and the Nazis referred to as the Thousand-Year Reich, ended in May 1945 after just 12 years, when the Allies defeated Germany, ending World War II in Europe. Thus, the two legs of iron on the statue of King Nebuchadnezzar symbolize two separate incarnations of the Roman Empire. First, as the Roman Empire during John's time, which was the sixth head of the beast. Second, as Nazi Germany, the successor to the Holy Roman Empire, which was the seventh head of the beast. And both of these separate kingdoms feed into the formation of the final Antichrist kingdom, as represented by the statue's feet of iron and clay. Rome and Nazi Germany were not only astoundingly evil in their own right, but as the statue of King Nebuchadnezzar perfectly illustrates, these two iron kingdoms lead directly to and build the foundation of the final Antichrist kingdom. Rome's incredible impact on America's founding is well documented. In fact, as America's founding fathers designed their new experiment, only one true republic could give them a blueprint for the government they wanted, Rome. And it wasn't just Rome's government that played such a big role in forming America, as the influence extended to nearly every aspect of American society, from laws to language, art to architecture, and even the culture itself. Which brings us to the other Iron Kingdom leading into the final Beast Empire, Nazi Germany. As it turns out, not only did Nazi Germany also have a substantial impact on America as did Rome, but this impact was much darker and truly from the bottomless pit. As World War II drew to a close, and with the fall of Nazi Germany in sight, the United States formed a new secretive agency called the Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency, or JIOA. The goal of this agency was to harness German intellectual resources to help develop America's arsenal of rockets and other biological and chemical weapons, and to ensure such information did not fall into the hands of the Soviet Union. Beginning in 1945, the JIOA ran a secret program called Operation Overcast, later renamed Operation Paperclip, in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from the former Nazi Germany to the U.S. for government employment. President Harry Truman officially sanctioned the operation, but he also forbade the agency from recruiting any Nazi members or active Nazi supporters. Truman's directive was not followed. Officials within the JIOA and the Office of Strategic Services, the forerunner to the CIA, bypassed Truman's directive by eliminating or whitewashing incriminating evidence of possible war crimes from the scientist's record. One of the more well-known of these recruits was Werner von Braun, the technical director at the Peenemünde Army Research Center in Germany, and who was instrumental in developing the lethal B-2 rocket that devastated England during the war. Known to the JIOA was that Werner von Braun was an official card-carrying Nazi. He was also a member of the feared SS paramilitary group and had been seen in images with Adolf Hitler and other high-ranking Nazi officials during his time in Germany. In addition, von Braun was involved in administrative decisions regarding the use of slave labor on his projects and also reportedly watched as prisoners were hung from cranes at the Mittelbau-Dora concentration camp. Von Braun and other rocket scientists were brought to Fort Bliss, Texas, and White Sands Proving Grounds, New Mexico, as War Department special employees to assist the U.S. Army with rocket experimentation. Von Braun later became director of NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center and the chief architect of the Saturn V launch vehicle, which eventually propelled 24 American astronauts to the moon. The majority of the German scientists, almost 500, were assigned work on guided missile and ballistic missile technology. This in turn led to the foundation of NASA and the U.S. ICBM program. Much of the information surrounding Operation Paperclip still remains classified. An even more covert effort to capture German nuclear secrets, equipment, and personnel was called Operation Alsace. Its chief focus was on the German nuclear energy project, but also investigated chemical and biological weapons and the means to deliver them. Over and over again, we see that Nazi Germany, despite having only existed for a short period of time, played a central role in America achieving worldwide dominance after the Second World War. This enormous impact on the American military and space programs cannot be overstated, in large part because of Operation Paperclip. America turned into a dreadful and terrible war machine that no nation can fight against. Nazi Germany terrorized the world for only a few years, but it could not have made a bigger impact during these final few years before the return of Jesus. Nazi Germany collapsed so that the American empire could be empowered. Rome and Nazi Germany have instrumental roles in the founding of America, from its laws, culture, art, and government to the frightening military power it possesses displayed throughout the world. As should be obvious by now, the final beast kingdom, the one ruled by the Antichrist himself, the one that both of the previous two Iron Kingdoms helped to bring about and empower, is none other than America. And drawing from those two Iron Kingdoms that empowered it, the new American Empire will be the Fourth Reich of the Holy Roman Empire, only this time it will be an unholy American empire and ruled by an emperor who is the man of sin. But it's not the America we know today, as there are fundamental changes coming to the makeup of this country as a whole, transforming it into a worldwide empire with shocking new alliances. Exactly how America will change and what those specific alliances will be is something I will get into in the next episode of this series.